All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Kendra Crump Show. We have always a special guest. Whenever I can give folks, because, people are booked and busy out here. I'm out here going after millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires. And actually, I got a trillionaire on my line. All right. If you guys don't know, this is somebody who actually used to, pimp slap Diddy back in the day. Like when Diddy looked at him crazy, he gave him pimp slap. He let him know what time it was. All right. He actually used to run with Tupac, and they used to shoot dice with each other. And after he retired from doing thug activity, okay, he actually worked with Neo. Y'all know Neo. Y'all should know Neo. Come on now. He worked with Mario. You should know him as well. All right. And he, was bodyguard to Faith Evans back in the day. All right. And on top of that, he's a part of the Black Men Don't Cheat movement. All right. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, we have Terrell T-Rex Simon in the building. I hope you like the little introduction. I try to spice it up for people, let folks know, to give you as much hype as I can. I hope that was.
What can I say? I'm a man of many talents, man. I sing, I bodyguard, I tap dance, I box, I ski, I play basketball, I'm a football player, I do it all.
Hey, listen, that's it. That's it. You listen, entrepreneur. So I wanted to, go ahead. First off, I do appreciate you taking y'all. Let me tell y'all how amazing this man is. Okay. Typically when you try to reach out to people who have a very large following that he didn't buy. Okay. These are real followers. Okay. Cause you got some entertainers out there that buy their followers to make themselves still look relevant. Anyway, we're not going to say names. But his followers are very, authentic. And I'm sure after this episode post, he'll have 100,000 more followers, because he's just popping like that. So one thing I do appreciate is that he, reached back out within the same day. And I'm like, oh man, I like you. I know your credit score is at 850 because you're just responsible. Okay. So
I wish.
my mouth to God's ears, but I do really appreciate you taking your time out, and doing this with me.
I believe in checking my emails. I believe in checking my messages, and I believe in responding immediately. I think sometimes a lot of artists be so slowful with checking our emails and getting back to people. You can miss your blessing. You never know who's hitting you or what can happen. So you got to be on point.
And let me ask you something. Where did that actually? Was that trial and error, or who taught you to actually do that? Because a lot of people do not understand and recognize how important it is to get back to people in a timely manner.
Well, I don't think it was trial and error. I just think from a kid, from a little kid, like I've been performing since a kid, and I've just been raised to be on point, and I wouldn't say it's trial and error. I just always been like that. From a kid, I've always been on top of my business. I've always been just that guy, not slowful, ready to go, check it, And I just, from seeing and just seeing other people, I know you gotta stay on top of it.
So you talk.
Not really trial and error. I was just brought up like this. I was trained to just be real responsible with my business.
And so, growing up, tell the people where you born and raised, where were you originally from and everything.
I was born and raised in Troy, New York. Okay. Not New York City. It's totally different. It's upstate. It's upstate New York. It's a totally different. It's more country. More suburbs. And I moved to New York City after I graduated high school. Because I knew I was like, it ain't gonna happen here. I gotta get to New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Troy, that sounds like a small town where if somebody owes you money, you know where to find them. Am I correct, or it's not it's a little bit bigger?
Look, they say it means temptation rules over you. I was like, no, I gotta get out of here. Okay. As soon as I got out of high school, I was like, let me get to the city where I know I can make something happen.
Okay, temptation. So it was the original Sin City before Sin City became over in Vegas, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, they say you get caught up in Troy, you don't get out of there, and I was just like, I'm getting out of here.
So, as a child, You say you were very talented. You started off doing, so was singing what were some of the first talents that you discovered or had somebody discover within you? Said, bro, you know you got a gift there. What was like the first ones that you
Singing.
remember having? Okay.
It was singing. Going to church. You know, I didn't really like going to church, and the only thing in church that would really grab my attention was the singing. So I started singing as a kid, and then a lady in the church was doing a program one day, and she's like, "We're gonna let you sing a solo." And I did. I Believe the Children Are Our Future by Whitney Houston, and the whole church was just like, "Oh my God, this little kid is good." And right then, my grandmother, she became like my manager. And, you know, churches would call me from all different around the area to be their special guest and to be their special guest lead. And my grandmother just taught me, be on time, be dressed. When they say it's time to go, it's time to go. And she would sit there with me. You ready? You know, all right, come on, time to go now. You know, so from a kid, I've been trained. But singing was the first thing. And then dancing. I started dancing at a young age. So I joined this Detroit Boys and Girls Club we had. And they had a dance group there called Charisma. And I ended up joining Charisma and getting trained with dance and just doing competitions all over the place on TV. So I kind of like started dancing and singing like as a kid professionally, traveling the world and doing competitions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Grant, you mentioned a couple points I want to hit on. You mentioned church. When did you know God was real for yourself? Like without, you know, your grandmother or other people, like when did you have that awakening moment?
I think I was like 16. I grew up in the church and I was a good guy. I was getting good grades. I was going to school, and you know, a lot of my family members were involved in the drug business and in the streets. And as I got older, you know, I started wanting to be cool, hang out, and I ended up like on this, you know, selling drugs and actually, you know, I was selling crack. People don't believe me. I was like, yo, I was 12 years old on the block selling crack. All my friends that know me know. But I was out there, and not really knowing the game. You know, just wanting to be cool and sell drugs and have the latest this and that, and I ended up messing up this guy's money from New York City one time, and they was trying to kill me. It was over $100. You know, they sucking me into this house and pulled the gun out of me, had me against the wall. Like, it was just crazy. I was like 16. And I said, Rex, what are you doing with your life, bro? Yo, you out here, you're so talented. You can sing, you can dance. You out here selling drugs, you running from, causing all kind of problems in my family. You know, you running from these dudes, they owe them money. Like, you got to get it together. My grandmother, again, came to me and she said, after a big thing had went down with my family and these drug dealers, she was like, you should go with me to Revival tonight. And I was like, yeah, let me go to Revival. I got to get my life together. And that night, I went to Revival and got saved. And that night, I'll never forget, that was the night that I truly seen God and felt God truly for myself. And ever since then, I've been on the path, you know, to be better, to be a better person, to be a better me, to live right, you know, and live by God.
Amen. You mentioned, was your grandmother, did she actually raise you, like, or would you just go to her house during summers or weekends?
Well, we had a 3-story house, and my mom lived on the 3rd floor. My grandmother lived on the 2nd floor, and my great grandmother lived on the 1st floor. So as a kid, you know, we in this whole house. I just go from floor to floor. You know, my mother be working, I'd be at my grandmother's house. This grandma be that grandma, be at that grandmother's house. So we all were in one building, you know, with different floors to it. So they pretty much practically raised me. Then my mom went to the Army for a little while. So my grandmother was real important in raising me. She was there and getting me to church.
Now, with your mother going to the Army, was it like more so, you know how like you like Army brat in a sense like that, or you can pretty much stay in the same state that you initially were enlisted yourself in? Was it like that where your mother did move around, or she pretty much stayed in the same state?
Yeah, she went. We were in New York. She went to North Carolina. She was based out in North Carolina, and she went out there. I forgot what they call that. Basic training when you first go for like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, she did. She went and she did her, initial time, and then she came home and she was like, "I got to raise my child. I can't be running out here." My mom was also a nurse, so she went back being an LPN and being a nurse. So she was gone for a little while, but not too long.
Got
my
you.
grandmother,
Got you.
Of course, held it down.
Gotcha.
And I'm the only child too, so not like I have brothers and sisters. It's just me.
You guys didn't have any pets, or did you have like your imaginary friends, or what would you do to like keep your who like, or any cousins around the block?
Yeah, big family. So my cousins was always around. I got like 80 cousins. My mom had a bunch of brothers and sisters. My dad got a bunch of brothers and sisters, and then they had a bunch of kids. So it was always kids around. I was always at my cousin's house, always at this house. And they was telling my mother, "You need to have another child. That boy's lonely." My mother said, "Okay." She said, "Well, we're going to get him a cat." So I ended up getting a cat.
Okay, cat man. Okay.
Yeah, Snoopy. It was black and white. We called him Snoopy. And that was the closest thing that I had to, a friend or, which kind of, in my older years became a problem because, you become like this needy person, and I went from being alone to never wanting to be alone. And that just became a real big issue. Now I'm back alone by myself.
When were you able to finally break that being alone? Like you say, okay, I'm gonna break free from this, me not being needy. When did you get to that realization where, okay, I have to break this, chain that it's over me? When did you get to that point?
You know what? The more and more popular and the more famous I got, the more and more jealousy, the more and more things started happening around me. And I could start to see that I was on my way down from just the company that I was keeping. Whatever the situation was, I was ready just to keep it moving and keep it going higher and moving forward. And just had a lot of people around me that didn't have the same mindset. So this was just basically recently. But I was the type of guy, everywhere I went, I had 15 people with me. Even in my house, you wake up and be people on my floor, people on my couch. Friends just always around. Like I just always didn't want to be by myself. And then with all, when stuff started happening and this friend backbiting you and you find out that this person wasn't really your friend and you loving and taking care of people and friending all these people that really behind your back, it just, so as God started to expose these things to me, and this is recently, probably about the last 3 years. And he, when God do something, he do it. He just thought half of them moved away. That one moved. Most of them I ain't even had to do nothing. God was taking care of it for me. This one moved away. That one moved away. And then, the music business is crazy, man. And you wonder, you see, Michael Jackson, the richest guy in the world, all the fans. And when he died, he was by himself. Whitney Houston, the biggest star, when she died, she was by herself. Prince, we can go down the line. These are the richest, most popular, famous people in the world. Why are they alone?
There's
true.
Nobody
around?
True.
There was a nobody? Nowhere? Y'all dying by us. It just gets real lonely because you start not to trust people. And it's just a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, and you just rather just be by yourself.
You know what? That's real. You know what's so crazy? I had this thing about myself where I was like, oh, I actually thought for so long that I wanted everybody I came across to be my friend, because I didn't. Yeah, go ahead, laugh. Go ahead, laugh. Because I was like, oh, I don't want any enemies. I don't want no one to sit here and plot on me, whatever else it may be. But you got to watch your friends too, man. And then on top of that,
and be the one.
They
Big
will.
Small said it. Be the one to smoke blunts with you. Now they want to grab the knife and come and get you. And I've had some crazy experience with the people that I thought was my closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you come to find out, God say, I'm your closest friend. So now I don't mind being by myself. I don't mind. I'll go out. I'll travel. I go alone. I'll be by myself. Have a good time. I get out. I meet people. But he took away that longing of just being needy and needing to have people like around me and with me all the time.
And that's true. And then Tupac also said the realest people don't have a lot of friends, man. And it's okay to not have, or what I used to get upset as well was the fact that my phone, my text messages, it's dry. Like I'm typically always the one reaching out to people, right? And then I'm like, man, why can't my phone, be blowing up? But then it will on Instagram. My Instagram DMs be crazy,
I'll do a show. I give you a show. I can link the radio. I give you the link the radio. I do it. I'm just that type of person. Like I'm a giving person. Like, and I want to see everybody win. But when you start to see that you're giving and giving and giving and giving, and it's not being reciprocated, like you go, you know what? I'm out. I gave you that link, and I just see you got that link, and you're not gonna return. As things start going, you just be like, okay, nah, I can't do that. One thing you don't want to be taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm. They will. People will take advantage of you now. If they allow, they will do that. They will do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they come in sheep. What they say, they look like dressed in sheep and wolves. They come like wolves dressed in sheep clothing.
Yeah. Bible talks about that. Let me ask you this question. When was the very first time, if not the first time, the most memorable time when you actually did realize people don't care about you? These so-called friends are really like your enemies. When did you first have that aha moment, like a story when that happened?
Well, honestly, I've always felt that way, kind of certain people, but I had a very, 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 very close friend that was a close friend of mine. I can't say the name.
No, don't say names. Yeah, I don't want you getting sued for defamation of character, even though it's true. Yeah. Like you got receipts.
Somebody I worked for, and I just gave my all, like sacrificed, cried. Just went through turmoil to make sure that this person was good.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, this person, this was recent, maybe 2 years ago, this person that was my friend over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, it wasn't really my friend. Just using me, for whatever they could get out of me to benefit them. And it's a hurting, sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come to realize, you be like, God, man, there's nobody that I can trust but you. We put our trust in people, we put our trust in things, and God will make a situation happen just to show you that I am God.
Mm-hmm.
You got your trust, and you got your trust and hope in all of these other people, but I'm gonna show you that I'm the one that got your back 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes God, will make situations happen just to show you or prove to you, who He is. And at the end of the day, we still gotta have a forgiving heart. So you can't be hating, because that stuff will mess you up. You get mad and you hating on the person. Other person went on with their life, ain't even think about it. You sitting over here mad, hateful, and God can't bless you because you have all this unforgiveness. So, it's a mature state. You realize what's going on. You say, hey, you know what? My brother, you might have you did me wrong, but I still love you. We all make mistakes, and you got to be mature about it. So it hurts. But we know that God He's a keeper, man, and He'll keep your heart, He'll keep your mind, and that's why it's just so close to have a relationship with Him.
Mm-hmm.
He'll bring a side out of it that you wouldn't understand. You say, what? Well, why did they? And He'll say, what? Well, this is why they're like that, and you can go back and say, oh, that's why they're like that. Maybe it's the environment they were raised in. They just don't know no better.
Mm-hmm. No, that's it. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Have you, since that incident had happened, did you seek therapy, or how did you? What were steps of healing? What were your ways of healing from the situation, or are you still healing from it?
I'm still healing from it, but I had to totally block this person out.
Okay.
That was my way of healing it, to totally take them off my Instagram, totally take them out my phone, totally I had to exclude 100% myself from that situation so that I could take the necessary time that I needed to heal without going back and forth and seeing this person. And, and I'm still kind of healing from it, but that's how I had to do it, man. I just had to totally cut it completely off, and not be able to see it or be around it and go the other way.
And would you also say you had to cut the people associated with that person as well off, or is it just so you won't be reminded of them as well? Is that another way, or you're like, nah, they didn't, the family members or the other friends didn't do nothing, let me just cut this person off?
Yeah, just the one person.
Okay. Look, everybody's different. Some people, once they upset with you, they unfriend everybody you associate with. Like, what did I do? I just said hey to you the first time.
Yeah. I'm not like that. I'm like, nah, you can't suffer for what they did. I don't want nobody to be mad at me for something that somebody else did.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
just the person, gotta go, and I just can't be, not forever. Maybe one day, and I'm in New York City. You can't be in New York City without hearing that.
No, of course. Well, let me ask you this. I want to kind of backtrack with, you said that at 12 years old, because I want to just get into a little bit. 12 years old was the first time you started selling drugs. Was it a was it a family member? Was it a good friend of yours at the time who said, "Hey man, you want to be put onto this?" Or were you like, "Let me just see what the hype is about. Let me see." What motivated you to say, "Hey, let me just go ahead and sell crack"?
Well, I've always been mature for my age. So even though I was 11, I was hanging with 16 and 17-year-old cousins, and they were all doing it, and we was all getting money, and most of our parents at the time were doing drugs. So they weren't really, we were grown, we were mature for our age. We weren't bad running around shooting people and, being in chaos. We were mature young drug dealers. And it wasn't my cousins that said, "Here, you take this." Just me being around it. And I learned who they was getting it from. And I said, you know what? Hey, everybody else doing it, I'm going to do it too. And once I learned where to get it from, I took it upon myself to do it. But being around in that environment, they didn't stop me. They didn't go, "Oh no, cuz you can't, you shouldn't be." Okay, cuz, come on, let's get this money. Now I'm getting money with them.
Let me ask you this. Did you have, how there's always an OG who tells you, "Hey man, stay away from this." There's always that one OG. Did you have that OG, or was it pretty much you on your own in that sense?
I didn't have nobody telling me that. Yeah, and my mom was working, and she was married at the time, and just busy working and trying to take care of the house. So she really wasn't on me, And me growing up being such a good kid, nobody believed that I would be doing something like that anyway. So I was really sneaking around and doing it. People knew, my cousins and uncles, but at that time it was just the thing to do. I didn't have anybody around saying you shouldn't be doing that, because my family, my uncles and my aunts, I was selling to my uncles and my aunts. They was happy that they was getting the drugs from me, so everybody happy.
I was like, I'm not gonna laugh about that. But when you laugh, I said, okay, I can kind of laugh a little bit. How?
And this is the honest God truth. I used to sell out to my uncles. I'm 12, selling crack to my family. I really didn't even have to leave my house. My steps. And how did I do it all these years, sneaking that past my mother? I tell my mother that now. She was like, "What? You was doing what?"
Well, I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad you know you can keep it real with moms now. Some people just they try to die with certain information.
Now, look, you can't. Ain't nothing you can do now. You know.
They still afraid. They still afraid even as an adult of their parents. Now you said your mother. Okay, wait. Couple things. Your father. Where did you were your parents ever before your mother got married? Were your parents married, or was it just like they were just boyfriend girlfriend? Loved each other.
Were boyfriend and girlfriend, and they separated when I was like 2.
Okay.
My dad was always around. Mm-hmm. He's actually dead now. He passed about 20 years ago.
My condolences.
Yeah, my dad. Not talking bad about him, but he was alcoholic, into drugs, and whatever he was going through, just really took him all the way down. But I've had I've had stepfathers. My mom got married after him. And the guy that she's with now, she's been with about 20 years. But after my dad left, my mother was the type, don't tell my son nothing. I don't care, that ain't your child. That's my son. Mm-hmm. And I was the type of kid, you ain't my dad. I ain't listening to you. Dad gone, ain't no dad here, and you're not going to come in here. You're not my real dad. You're not going to tell me what to do. So it's been father figures around, but not really that a father figure.
Got it. Even though your father, your biological dad, was an alcoholic and he had other stuff that was going on, did you guys ever go fishing? What would you typically like? Any positive? I don't know. Hopefully I'm saying this right. Any positive?
I'm gonna tell you this. Me and my dad ain't do nothing.
Okay.
We didn't do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
He knew I was a singer, talented dancing, but he was heavy into the streets. But my dad's family was his side family, my grandmother, his mom. I was always with them. I was always with my dad's sister and the kids. So my dad was just always around, and he took well care of me, even though he didn't see me. I got a child support check every 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
All the way up until he died. He would still bring me gifts, for Christmas. So even though we didn't really do anything together financially, mm-hmm. I really can say that all the way up until he died, I was getting them checks.
The day that you found out about his passing, was it from? What? If you don't mind me asking, what exactly was the cause of his death?
Okay, I had just moved to New York City. I was 21. Mm-hmm. I'll be 42 this year.
Okay, woo woo. Listen. We almost at the AARP card age. How's it feel?
And they called me and they said your father is in the hospital, and you need to get back. I just got to New York, so I said, "Oh God, my dad's in the hospital." And I got to the hospital. He had alcoholism. Mm-hmm. They couldn't find my dad, and for a few days, and I'm like, Rex, where is your father? We haven't seen him. And when they finally went in his house, they said my dad was on the couch, blue, but alive, and still drinking. Still drinking. And so when he got to the hospital, they tried to, sometimes if your heart is weak or your system is too weak enough and they try surgeries on you, if you can't make it, you won't make it. So I got to the hospital, and they said really he waited for me to get there. I got to the hospital, and he was just so happy to see me, plugged up to where everything. And that night I went home to my mom's. They called me in the morning and said that he was gone. On top of being a diabetic. So that's why I'm just like so. I'll be 42 this year. People like, Rex, you do not look 42. You're in your 20s. No, I'll be 42 this year. The way he went out, I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. Like, I'm just so cautious about my health and things like that because it's just I can't go out like that.
That's respect. That's real. 16, You leave. Wait, how's your aunt and uncle who you sold the crack to? How are they doing? Like, are they how like over the years? How have they been doing?
Still on it. 20
Mm.
years later.
Do you try to help them, or you got to the point where you say, you know what, there's nothing I can do?
When I first got saved, you know, when somebody first gets saved, you be on fire. And everybody's the devil. I went through that phase.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got saved, I was like, oh, no, you need to get saved. And then as I started getting older and going through situations in life and learning and seeing for myself, I started to see it's not that simple. When you're addicted to something, you're addicted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even you anymore that wants this. It's the drug calling you. So, you know, a lot of times we mad at the person, but once they get that drug and they get addicted, it's now outside of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's just a hard thing to kick once you're addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, you know, drugs is addiction, but anything that you can be addicted to, you can be addicted to Pepsi. Addiction, period. Once you're addicted to something, it's hard to get off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them just fighting that fight, man. And they still fighting it.
Did you have an addiction that you were able to, you know, go cold turkey on?
A lot of addictions. Cocaine, weed, liquor. Now I will have a drink every now and then, still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I may even smoke a blunt every now and then, still. But it's under control. You know, at one point it was out of control. I was touring the world, I got in the music business, and just that life that they push at you when you know, because I'm singing gospel, but I started out on the R&B and the hip hop world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, traveling with Lack Jennings and just touring, you know, and it's about fun. You know, you get to LA and coke is not something that's considered, oh my God, he's doing cocaine. It's a fashionable, pleasant drug that everybody does at the parties.
Yeah. I think that it's called a rich white man's drug or so.
Yeah. You know, but you before you know it, you'll be addicted and not even knowing you're addicted. You know, you start doing it on the weekends, then it's Monday, you're still doing it. Then it's Tuesday and you're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now you're doing it all week. You know, before you know it, you way out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, my dad is, and the way he went out stops me, pauses me a lot. Because I'll go, wait, okay, Rex. You went too far, bro. You do not want to go out like that. So I had to go cold turkey. I just quit.
Really? You didn't go to rehab or anything?
Nah, I didn't go to rehab or nothing. Because, I wasn't out selling my body. I wasn't out fiending. But I didn't have to do it because I was touring and I was making money, So I didn't really have to be out fiending. Maybe if I wasn't touring making money, I would have been out like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then the fact of having my job, me having to sing, me having to be on TV and having to be in front of people, present myself, you don't want to look crazy. So it's a lot of things that contributed to my soberness.
And that was going to be my next question. Could people tell, like, that you were on drugs, or were you showing up late? Was it affecting your performance?
Nope. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's part of the best performance part of my life.
That's real.
But it do start taking an effect on your vocals as years go by.
Mm-hmm.
So, my voice is pretty good right now, but because of the drugs and the drinking and the partying, I lost a lot of range in a lot of areas in my voice that I can no longer go to because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I say, you know what? God got my voice where it is right here because this is where he wanted it.
Gotcha.
You know?
That's real. When did you? Well, let me ask you this question. Okay,
Yeah.
16. Okay, you're 16. You go, go to the revival. Now you're saved. All that type of stuff. You graduate high school. As soon as you graduated high school, is that when you when did the record companies start coming around? When it came to signing your name and like the managers, like when did that? At what age did that come about?
Well, I told you my grandmother was my manager. Then I was a dancer, as a kid, all of that. But when I graduated from high school, I said, from watching MTV as a kid, you see everybody move to New York City. So that's what I did. I ended up meeting this guy named Danny Easton, who had a community choir, like Hezekiah Walker.
Mm-hmm.
He was big back then. And they were traveling around, and he offered me a position, a lead singer position in his choir. So that's what got me to New York City. I started traveling with his choir, and I moved here. And I just got on the streets of New York. I was going to open mic. I was going to anything that I could sing at, I would sing at. And then one day this girl in my church came to me, and she said, I have a friend that works at Sony. You should meet him. She had seen me singing in the church every Sunday. And I was like, oh, okay, let me meet him. She said, I'm going to invite him to your next concert. I was doing R&B showcases. And this guy named Phil, who I still work with to this day, came to my showcase. And he was like in the royalty department at Sony. He wasn't like, one of the A&Rs. But he was in the office and around people. And he came and see me. He was like, oh, man, I would love to work with you. Me and him started working together. Now, at this time, Life Jennings had just got out of doing 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got out of high school and moved to New York, Life Jennings at the same time was getting out of Ohio doing 10 years in prison. We both moved to the same area in Brooklyn at the same time. He started doing the Apollo, and he started winning week after week after week after week after week, and ended up getting a record deal with Sony. And at the time, my friend was working at Sony that came and seen me. I started working with him. And he said, we got this new guy, Life. I was like, oh, my God. Y'all signed Life? That's the guy from the Apollo. He was like, yeah. I said, yo, if you ever hear that he's looking for background singers, let me know. Fast forward 6 months down the line, he called me 8 o'clock in the morning one morning. T-Rex, Life is here, and he's looking for background singers. Get up right now. You got to run down there. So I jumped. I'm like, oh, okay, I jumped up, put my clothes on, went down to the studio, and I got there. And there was like 100 people there. Life had not came out with his first album yet, and he was like, he's looking for three background singers. And I was like, man, I thought it was just going to be me. I got to compete with all these 100 people. Make a long story short, I ended up winning the competition out of the 100 people, and that's when it all started. I ended up meeting Life, started rehearsing with Life, and that's when it all started for me.
Okay. All right, look at that.
He immediately put me on the road with him. We went on tour. We started touring. We started working on his debut album, and that's where it all started. 2003.
All right, 2003. Throwback.
Mm-hmm.
Throwback. Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you something like this. Do you typically do a yearly celebration, on the anniversary of when it happened? Like, what do you typically do each year around, like, in that month, to like...
You know what? I can't even remember the month. I can't even remember, like, the month. I just know the year, 2003. But I can't remember the exact month.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't celebrate it on a yearly basis.
Okay, got you. I do, because I know, look, because there's so much more I wanted to say, and I know we're gonna probably be here till the next day, because you are just like you're an interesting person, man. You're an interesting person. Typically when I do these interviews, I'm like, oh shoot, time is coming up. Oh my gosh, but you're interesting. I wanted to, at least let the audience, the people who haven't heard of you, the people who are your fans, like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know this about him. I try to go to the nitty gritty.
And we're saying a lot now that they probably don't know.
Yeah, and
I'll talk about me, but not into like detail like this. So this is good.
No, of
You know, we
course.
got to tell our stories, man. People got to hear our testimonies. You
Of course, because you know people will just sit here and you know ask little basic questions, but they're not getting into how did it actually happen. Now, I do want to ask you this question: while you were in the choir, you know, kind of you know before you met old girl who was like, "Hey, I got a friend who works for Sony," type thing. Did you have a job, or did the choir like they like pay you? Say, "Hey, here's you know $100 a week or so."
They didn't pay me nothing. Let me tell you, I moved to New York City, and I said, you know what? I moved to New York City. I packed my car up, and my family like, oh, he'll be back. I ain't think I'm coming back. I'm getting out of here. I packed my car up, got to New York. I said, I'm gonna get me an apartment. And I looked in. I said, wait a second. A 1-bedroom studio hole costs $1,500 a month.
Mm-mm.
No degree. How am I gonna make this happen? So, you know, when you're in New York City, you group up with other friends and you guys become roommates. So you get a, you know, 2 or 3 bedroom apartment and, you know, you'll split it. So it's like 4. So you end up paying like the regular price. But I ended up getting a job. One of my friends at the church in the choir that I was singing with worked at a law firm as a bill collector. So when I moved here, I said, he said, I could get you a job as a bill collector at my firm. And I was like, really? I said, okay, let's do it. So yeah, I was a bill collector.
Okay, bill collector. How long did you stay? What would you say was your final strike before you left that job and said, I'm getting out of here? Like how many, if you remember, how many months or years did you stay on that job before you like said?
I got there in 2001. Actually, I got there. I was in the World Trade Center when the Trade Center fell down. I had just started work. So that was 2001, and then I ended up getting fired because I was young and didn't want to go to work. It was partying, so I was there about a year and a half.
Okay,
and
that's good.
And then from then, my mom, you know, she was a nurse. She was making a whole bunch of money. She was sending me money every week.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, you know, for me to get by. But I got fired from that job, and I ended up meeting Life. And I was homeless when I met Life. And I remember one day we were going home from rehearsal, and Life was like, "Where you going?" I was like, "Man, I've been sleeping on the trains." Da da da. He was like, "Bro, go get your stuff," and I ended up moving in with him. And he pretty much took care of me. You know, I was working for him, but we became family. You know, he was in prison. Didn't really have a lot of friends, you know, and you know, people go in prison, come out, they're to themselves. So because we were rehearsing and touring so much, we ended up becoming family. And I moved in with him, and pretty much was working with him and stayed with. Then I ended up becoming his assistant, you know, his road manager. So, you know, he moved me in with him, and I was staying with him for years and years.
That's family. That's family for life. One last question, and then we're gonna get to the a fast 5 random polling questions for you. And there is no wrong or right answer. So one last question. You said that you were homeless. Was it an ego thing as to why you never made it back home? Because once your folks said, "Oh, you'll be back," was it an ego thing? Like, I'm gonna prove to them, even if I am homeless.
Let me tell you this. It was ego. I had got to one day. Let me tell you something. You know, and this is so embarrassing.
It's okay.
I was in the streets, taking showers when I could. You know, staying at this person's house, this person's house, this person's house. You know, not staying nowhere too long because I didn't want to get on nobody's nerves. So I had a bunch of friends. I would just go and stay one night there, one night here. You know, every night I had a place to go. But you know, it was getting rough. And I went to one of my friend's house and took off my shoes. And let me tell you something. It stuck up the whole house. They were like, "Whose feet is that?" I was just like, "Oh, no. I'm not a dirty person. I grew up in a clean house, clean family, you know, but I'm out here struggling, not being able to take showers, you know, got my bags in storage, you know, just like trying to figure it out." And I didn't want to go home because I was like, I'm really not homeless because I can just go home.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to. And then one day came and I was at my last. And I remember just crying. And I'm going to tell you this. I was about to call my mom. And because if my family knew I was homeless and out here, they would have been like, boy, if you don't get home. I got to my wit's end. I was getting ready to call my mom. And my phone rang.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Ashanti. And Ashanti, I had met friends with a choreographer, and he said to me, Rex, Ashanti wants you to sing background for her. She wants you to come in and audition. And I said, are you serious? He was like, yeah. I'm telling you, I was getting ready to call my mother to tell her I was coming home. And I went the next day with Ashanti. I called my mom. I was like, Ma, Ashanti just called me. I need some money. Like, I just got a gig. Da, 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 da. I went to that Ashanti gig, and I was rehearsing with her for like a week. And then I met Life Jennings. And ended up leaving Ashanti to go with, not working with Ashanti and going off with Life Jennings.
Look at that. Look at God, man. That's what I'm talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, man, shout out. Shout out to all these people. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to God, man, making this all happen. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask.
I was on my way home. I said, no, I can't. No, I'm done now. Ego done. I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the street, just walking lost, crying in the middle of Brooklyn. Just lost.
Mm-hmm.
Just lost. And my phone rang. And it was just to give me hope because my ultimate destination wasn't Ashanti. And that's why I tell people, you just got to keep working because you don't know. God can bless you at any given moment. At any time, your phone can ring and change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that phone call changed my life.
That's real. There it is. That's motivation for the people. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, three just random polling questions. There is no wrong or right answer, and then I want you, to. I'll definitely drop, your links and everything in the show notes once this once this hits YouTube and everything. But all right, three questions. No random, no wrong or right answer. All right. What's the best birthday you've had thus far?
Can it be this birthday coming?
It can. Any birthday.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of Mary J. Blige. And I have 3 names because her and P. Diddy got 3 names. Sean P. Diddy Combs, Mary J. Blige, Terrell T-Rex Simon. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of P. Diddy. That's why I was cracking up in the beginning when you said that. But my birthday is this Thursday, November 18th. And I am going to spend the day with Mary J. Blige.
There it is, y'all. There it is. Are you gonna hit that dance that she does? That legendary dance y'all gonna be dancing?
I do all the dances. I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying? I got that swag. That's that New York swag. And she get the dances from Diddy. Her and Diddy. That's just that bad boy era. That's just those moves. That's just that swag.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be the best birthday. Not only am I going to spend my birthday with her at the Barclays, she's in concert. The next day, I'm going to the Soul Train Awards,
mm-hmm.
and then the next day, I'm in concert here in New York City. So I think this birthday coming is going to be the best one.
Okay.
I get to spend my birthday, the day of my birthday, with the queen of hip hop and soul. It's gonna be crazy.
That's it. That's real. What would you consider? Question number 2. What would you consider a good ass day for you? Like literally from the start time that you wake up to the time you close your eyes, like go to sleep that night. What would be a good
day?
Yes.
Would be waking up. This is what I do. I only watch CNN. Turning on CNN, sitting on my couch, with a table full of crawfish and mussels, just laid back, watching TV. That's a great day.
That's it. That's simple. That's simple. That's simple. That's simple.
Yeah, my manager said, "Oh, we know how to satisfy you. Crawfish and mussels. It's CNN. That's all he needs. Give him CNN, crawfish and mussels. He's all right."
All right. What's the perfect temperature for you?
Not hot, not cold, in between.
75 degrees?
Nah, we'll say 50.
Oh, no, we couldn't be best friends. That's terrible. All right, last question. I'm going to do fourth one. What's the craziest fan moment that you've had thus far?
Craziest fan moment I've had thus far would be Kansas City. I'll never forget. We were in concert, and I was with Life, and we were walking to the stage, but we had to walk through the audience to get to the stage. And as we walking through the audience to get to the stage, this lady jumped in front of me and just started kissing, putting her tongue in my mouth and just started kissing me.
Ooh.
No stranger. Now, that was the most craziest time. Because I was a background singer at the time, and I was just like, you don't understand that if you're going everywhere with somebody, that people are seeing you too. You know, they see that one guy that's always with the guy. So that was crazy to me. And I couldn't stop it because I was just like in shock, first of all. And then like it just happened so quick. So that was the craziest thing. Walking through the audience, this lady just jumped out and just started kissing me.
Okay. And all right, you know what? Let me hit it with number 5. I'm gonna do number 5. And I typically ask, one more. Now, this is literally last one, okay? And I typically ask every one of my guests this, okay? Because I know, that this is what makes you unique. What is a black movie, TV show, or character that's popular in our community that you just don't really care for? Just give me one, because I got like 10.
A black actor or comedy or comedian or something that I really just don't care for.
Yeah, like a movie that's pretty popular in our community, a TV show character.
Now that's a hard one. That's popular in our community. What's that movie that just came out with all the African clothes and the guy just died that was the main character? I ain't talking about the guy, but that movie and it was like black people and we were like action figures.
Let me Google. You said black
Shakanda.
action.
Shakanda. And they were like Shakanda. What's that?
Shakanda.
What's that movie?
I don't know. I haven't. This just came out.
It came out about 2 or 3 years ago. Kanda, and black people.
Are you talking about? Wait. Oh shoot. You talking about? I know what you're talking about. I
haven't even watched that. I still haven't even watched that movie all the way through. So
I know what you're talking about. It's called Black Panther. Black Panther.
Black Panther.
But you know what? That's real. Because let me tell you something. I don't like the movie Friday. So there it is.
I'm sorry.
No, you don't. But listen. T-Rex.
What the thing they say?
T-Rex, don't apologize. That's what makes you unique, because you're not going to like everything. With that being said, that's how we going to end the show. Okay, we're going to end the Kendra Crump show on that note. I got your information. I'll put it all in the show notes. I do appreciate you, brother, for taking out this time, speaking with me, enlightening the people something that they did not know about you, something that they could learn. I think one of the main parts is like, man, keep God first, and God has really brought you through a lot and has helped you.
I appreciate you, man. This conversation was very therapeutic for me. You sometimes you just be so busy and working. You never really sometimes can sit back and listen and be like, wow, I went through that. So this really just kind of like took me back all the way to the beginning of my career. And wow, God is good. I've come a long way, man.
That's it. Amen to that. Well, make sure you guys please support. Don't be in his DM asking him for money. He ain't got it. Okay, if you can ask for money, you can go ask for a job. With that being said, that's what we gonna end it on that note. Women, listen, man. He don't want no groupies. He likes a wholesome woman. Okay, if he don't want to be, if he's not interested, he's not interested. Okay, no means no. Okay, yes still means no.
If you don't grab me and kiss me out the blue as I'm walking down the street.
Don't do that. Like, have some self-respect, lady. All right, y'all. That has been another great episode of the Kendra Crumb Show. And we out.